Hello, welcome to ShropshireStar.com. My name is Jonny Drury and I'm here with Shrewsbury correspondent. The second video of the week. We did a bit of an overview on some Salop issues earlier in the week, and since then it has all been going on. So we've reconvened for another video to talk about the latest news from this week, and we'll start with that news that you revealed on Monday, I think it was now, Ollie, about Luke Leahy, Salop captain, handing in a transfer request. Things have moved very, very quickly. And it was announced Tuesday evening that Leahy had been sold to Wycombe Wanderers for an undisclosed fee. Shropshire Star understands it's a six-figure sum. Ollie, it all moved very quickly. I know a lot of Salop fans were sort of shocked by the transfer request news that you broke on Monday. I know you said in that story Salop wouldn't let him go until the asking price has been met. That must have been met now that he's gone out the door. Just sort of, what's your overall feeling on it? Big blow for Shrewsbury, but understandable that there was going to be interest in Leahy given the season that he'd had.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a blow. It's always a blow to lose your club captain, your marquee player, your player of the season, 2 years on the trot. So I think it was always going to be a blow for Town to kind of lose Luke. You can understand kind of after the asking price has been met, you can understand why he's gone. So it's one of those things really in football, I suppose, that they've kind of met the asking price and now he's gone. It's going to be a big hole for Shrewsbury to fill because he was Mr. Consistent, Mr. Reliable last year, wasn't he? With playing 46 League One games, starting every game, scoring however many goals he did. Mr. Calm, cool and collected from the penalty spot. So it's a big hole to fill, and he's a big infectious personality in that dressing room as well.
Yeah, it's like we said, it all come pretty quickly, and now you say things move on quickly. There's big shoes to fill. Is it a case of maybe some of this money that's come in will be sort of given to Mickey Moore and Matt Taylor to sort of reinvest and try and find a replacement, or to invest in other areas of the squad?
Yeah. I mean, we haven't got to that stage yet. To be fair, I'm still kind of digesting. I must admit, as you know, when I tweeted yesterday, I was at the theatre last night when
the news
broke. I did have a heads up that I did know it was coming, to be fair. So I had prepped yourselves and other people in the office that news was coming last night before I went to the Hippodrome to watch The Lion King. But a
little peek into the life of Ollie Westbury there, Shrewsbury fans.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Culture, they say. So I did. I left, finished work a touch early yesterday because obviously I was going there, and I'd let people know that this news was either coming either tonight or tomorrow. But it all happened so quickly, didn't it? I understand that Luke said bye to his Shrewsbury teammates and staff at the training ground on Tuesday morning after the bid had been accepted. And then he headed straight down to Wycombe from there onwards, and it all seemed to happen too quickly. I knew that he'd handed in a transfer request and said that he wanted to leave the club, but I don't think we understood. Well, I certainly didn't expect it to happen. The next wake up the next morning he was gone. I didn't think that was going to be the case. I didn't expect it to move that quickly, but these things happen, don't they, in football? So, with regards to whether it means that money can be invested, that's a question that we'll have to ask next time we get the opportunity. So yeah, it's one of those things really for Shrews. We'll just have to wait and see.
We'll have to wait and see on that one. Indeed. Just on a couple of other points that have come out over the last couple of days, Shrewsbury fans would have seen your story as well, Ollie, that former Wolves midfielder Taylor Perry has been training with Wolves. He's on trial, due to play on Saturday in the behind closed doors friendly with West Bromwich Albion. Ollie, that came out on Monday or Tuesday, I believe. All these
yesterday,
days of this week are merging into one. So yeah, that was yesterday on Tuesday. Just a reaction to that, really, not wholly surprising, given we knew that the pool of players that Shrewsbury may be looking in this time, given Mickey Moore's sort of passed at Cheltenham. Perry is sort of, I think he had a couple of loan spells. He was at Cheltenham as well, I believe. So not wholly surprising to sort of hear this news. And what else do we know really at the moment?
Yeah, so he's on trial, basically. He's on trial. but it's not like an on. I mean, when you look at somebody and you think they're on trial, that you kind of think, oh, okay, well, nobody else wants them. You kind of, but from what I gather, that is not the case at all. It is a mutually beneficial relationship. Where, I mean, take for example, at Taylor Moore, for example, everyone's going on about Taylor Moore, whereas Taylor Moore at the moment, as far as I'm aware, is not training with the club. He's doing all his stuff on his own. So when he gets a club, he's going to be miles behind, isn't he? Because he's struggling to keep up his match fitness. Whereas, I mean, that could be wrong. He could be training with the club, but as far as I'm aware, he's not training with anyone. I've seen a few photos of him, posting that he's doing a bit of training on his own. But whereas what Taylor Perry's doing is that he is, training with Shrewsbury to keep his fitness up, so that when he gets his move, wherever that ends up being, I understand it's likely to be Shrewsbury, he's already, kind of a couple of steps ahead of those guys who are not doing pre-season training and have missed the bulk of, the heavy leg work that, players need to do to be fit and have a baseline of fitness before the start of the season. I understand that Mickey Moore is someone that gets on really well with Mickey Moore, relationships at Cheltenham. And, it gives Matt Taylor the option as well for Shrewsbury to have a look at him before. I don't want to say it, but I suppose it's try before you buy, isn't it? It gives the town a little bit of an opportunity to have a look at this player to decide whether they think, he's somebody that they want around the group. I did speak to John Palmer about him briefly yesterday. Feel like John Palmer has become somebody who I speak to on a regular basis after all the dealings that we've had with Cheltenham Town this season. It'd be good to actually finally meet him in person when we do play Cheltenham on that opening game. And he was very complimentary of Taylor Perry. He says he's somebody who, likes to receive the ball in tight spaces and, he's good on the ball. So it seems to me like, he's a young player. Not every player you're going to sign is going to be a 28-year-old who is a tried and tested League One player that's going to come in and be a top earner, because that's just not the case. That's not how they're going to build a squad of 20 odd senior players. There are going to have to be a few lads in there, that you bring in, you take a bit of a risk on and hope that, if the coaching, like someone like Matt Taylor, can improve the player, and either they can turn into a really good League One player, or they can even sell them on as a sellable asset. So, different players, will come in with different levels of experience, and we'll just have to hope that, they can work together to get some results.
Well, you mentioned the Cheltenham links, and speaking to John Palmer there on a regular basis, the sort of Cheltenham, don't want to call it a ram raid, but sort of continued earlier this week. Tom Ware has come in at Shrewsbury as the new head of recruitment, another sort of trusted ally by the sound of things of Mickey Moore, and someone who's impressed there, and Shrewsbury have brought to the club. Sort of feel a little bit sorry for Cheltenham at the moment. I'm sure they're having to rebuild a lot of things behind the scenes, but it's to the benefit of Salop, really. Did this one come out of the blue? Ollie, I know Keith Burt left towards the end of, or at the end of last season, who was a sort of Steve Cottrell's man and Steve Cottrell's head of recruitment. And this is another vacancy now that's been filled at Salop.
Yeah, I didn't expect it, to be honest. I mean, I saw John Palmer's tweet last week that said that it was happening, so we knew it was coming. I didn't expect it, because I'm kind of a tad confused of if he comes in as head of recruitment, is what Mickey Moore's job is now. I didn't think that a head of recruitment was a position that we were likely to fill. With the director of football as well. I mean, maybe you need someone who is specifically working all year round on recruitment. I don't know, that they will know the answers to those questions. But I was surprised, because I thought that was Mickey's job. I thought Mickey's job as director of football was recruitment. So, yeah, to have then recruited another person who is now titled head of recruitment, overseeing all the team down there. I don't know. Maybe it's just a way of Mickey Moore's way of delegating some responsibility, because obviously he can't do everything. But yeah, I was a touch surprised. I think more the title. I thought he was going to come in as I think he was a recruitment analyst or something at Cheltenham. So I was surprised to see the change in job title. But we'll have to wait and see how it pans out.
We certainly will. It's been a busy week, and that has also included the shock news that Elliot Bennett has returned to Shrewsbury Town. Just a handful of months after he departed at the end of his contract, he has now signed a new 1-year deal at Shrewsbury. A 34-year-old, experienced 34-year-old from Shropshire, and fans' favourite really over the last couple of years, has come back in, beefing up that squad that needs a number of signings at the moment, and will continue to be added to. Ollie. Is it sort of a no-brainer? Good move all round, 1-year deal. I know he had his injury problems last season, but he's still certainly got League One quality as Elliot Bennett.
Yeah, Elliot Bennett's top. He's a top pro, isn't he? Top pro, top personality, infectious personality. Really, really good guy. And I imagine that he will have been signed for as much as anything, because they are so important. You need good professionals. You need people setting an example. You need people who have been there, done there, got the T-shirt, and he can certainly do a job. I don't expect Elliot Bennett to start 46 League One games this season. I don't think that is the role that he will play. He will play more of a role where he's kind of filling in, coming on to see games out. Starting the odd game, as and when. I mean, I don't know this, but it's just the kind of impression that I get about Elliot Bennett. He will be the first person to admit that he's probably not at the sharp end of his career anymore, and he's kind of tailing out. So, it's one of those things, really. Elliot Bennett. I think personally, it's a good move for the club.